Silver's price got hit hard today. Does that mean this is it for silver's bull run? Well, the answer to that is no, and I'm going to tell you why in this video as we explore. The rally is not over from 1 or even 2 or even 3 days of consecutive losses, even from the losses that we saw today. In fact, silver fell about 3.5% earlier in the day. One of the reasons why I'm saying it's not over yet is because of what happened afterwards. But nonetheless, it could be the beginning of the end. You never know. We have seen prices pull back in the past, and then we saw a triple top for silver, and then moving up to almost $60 an ounce. So a lot can happen, and there's a lot happening now for sure in the silver market. So do not lose hope and hold on to your silver. My friends at Summit Metals, they have silver, and they have a lot going on there behind the scenes that and they told me about that will be shared with you soon. Check them out by clicking on the link in the description below. And there is a sale on Salivate Metal rounds right now. The link to that item is also in the description below. So there is a report here from Yvonne Yu Lee that I'm going to get into. But first, I'm going to report to you what's going on in the precious metal space, because gold really did something amazing today. It is actually up, and all the other metals are down. Gold is up 0.12%, up $5.20 right now to $4,209.30. Silver is down 2.37% now after falling almost 3.5% earlier. Now it's down $1.38 to $57.16. It started out at $58.79, $58.80. So I guess in early trading, it did get up very close to $59 again. And then it got as low as $56.44. So that is a massive amount of a movement for one day for silver, for sure. Platinum and palladium are also down. Platinum down 1.32%, down $22 today. Palladium down $14. As silver's pulled back from its all-time high as traders now look to take profits following an 8-day rally that's been seen as too fast, too far, and gold was little change. And I tell you what, that tells you something about gold. It really is a resilient metal in these times, for sure. And we're seeing silver fall as much as 3.4% after the latest U.S. jobs data did little to sway bets of an interest rate cut next week. Applications for unemployment benefits hit the lowest in more than 3 years, indicating employers are holding on to workers despite a wave of recent layoffs. A lower rate environment would, in theory, boost precious metals, including silver and gold, as they don't pay interest. But silver's rapid advance to an all-time high of nearly $59 an ounce in recent days has pushed it into overbought territory, suggesting a price correction is imminent. We don't think that the pace of gains we've seen this year for silver are sustainable looking ahead, according to Ewa Manthi, a commodity strategist at ING Bank. So according to these analysts, they're ready to write silver's bull run off. And I like to be as realistic about silver as possible, but I'm not writing it off yet. Silver has nearly doubled this year, with most of the gains occurring in the last 2 months due to its historic supply squeeze in the benchmark London market amid surging demand from India and silver-backed exchange-traded funds. While that supply crunch has eased in recent weeks as more metal is shipped to the London market, other markets have seen supply constraints, with Chinese inventories at decades lows. And that is one of the reasons why I think we may see it just sprout right back up again. I think it's highly probable. I could be wrong, but I'm looking at that as a real possibility. Now, Manthi said that the primary risk to her silver outlook comes from the industrial side, which accounts for more than half of the metal's consumption. A sharper than expected global slowdown, particularly in electronics or manufacturing, would slow down silver's momentum, said Manthi. Higher prices for longer could also lead to demand destruction, she said. And I kind of agree to some extent, but there's not much sign of slowing in demand for silver and other aspects of the economy. And we got to remember that there's still a big push by governments around the world to incentivize the production of solar panels, EVs, and the like. And here in the United States, we're trying to relax fuel standard mandates, but that's still going to mean a lot of production and people buying hybrid vehicles and even electric vehicles. I think those sales are going to go up, especially if we see Samsung's silver solid-state battery come into fruition, which, by the way, we could be on track, at least from what I understand, by late next year in 2026, an announcement that it is coming to market, with certain vehicles maybe getting them, Mercedes and other high-end vehicles, in maybe mid-2027. But nonetheless, I believe that silver's supply constraints, are still going to pressure silver prices to not fall as much if we do start to see the end of this rally. But I think we could see this rally continue even into the near future here because of other areas in terms of supply-demand fundamentals and the supply chain disruptions. ING Bank expects silver prices to remain well supported amid a combination of resilient industrial demand, constrained supply growth, and a more favorable macro environment. From a macro perspective, silver should benefit from the same drivers expected to support gold: a softer U.S. dollar, Fed rate cuts, and renewed appetite for safe haven assets amid geopolitical concerns, according to Manthe. After the latest jobs data that has been released today, swap traders continued pricing in a quarter-point rate cut at the Fed's December 9th and 10th meeting, which is just a days away now. In fact, right now, even though it has eased off a little bit, it's still 87% chance that the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates by a quarter point. And I believe they are going to do it this year. I really do. And we're going to see more cuts next year as well. And so that's what we're looking at here to see what happens. But, jobs data and profit taking, those are the kind of things that we have to look out for. And really I do believe there is profit taking with some of the silver prices moving as rapidly as they have. People want to take advantage of those highs, but there may be more buyers that get in as well. In fact, I believe David Bateman has made a post. The very wealthy individual who bought a whole bunch, I reported it on this channel, he may buy a whole lot more. He's done very well with his physical silver purchases. I think he got contract-sized bars physically delivered, and I think that is pretty amazing. If we see more of that happen and more people out there, taking advantage of what could be coming, well, I think it's a good idea to buy. There's going to be continued constraints, I think, and supply issues, as a lot of people in China are buying as well. And that's one of the markets, one of the serious markets that we have to take into account and consider, and that is part of what has fueled this rally. A big whale purchase of futures trading has occurred as well, too. It's not been confirmed, the name, but I think a name is floating out there, and I forget who it is, but apparently he's extremely wealthy. And unless he sells his shares, which I don't see that happening anytime soon, then I think we're going to see the price, continue to stay up. But nonetheless, profit taking does happen. Some people theorize that there's suppression that's happening as well too, and I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, because there's a lot of people that have these triggers when they're going to sell. And even though places like J.P. Morgan are custodians, a lot of these big bullion banks, they are custodians of some of the silver there, but do they actually own it? I think a lot of them do, and some of that very well could happen on the back end. I think if there's going to be price suppression, it's going to piggyback the natural market to exaggerate it, and as it move down and move up, and it could be could be strategic plays in that regard. I think to some extent you may see that happening on the way up as well. So things to consider here, but no matter what your feelings are about that particular issue, about price suppression and what's going to be happening with the silver market, I think overall we have to be very flexible with our own holdings of silver. And I think that the amount of silver that we have in our stack, We measure it in terms of ounces. We hold on through the highs and through the lows. Some people may be kicking themselves for not selling before the big move today, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay to hold on. If you want to take profits, if it goes up and you can do well by selling to a local coin shop or to a bullion dealer that's going to treat you right, well, you're doing great. But remember, there's a flood of silver coming into the markets right now, and it's not a good time to sell, in my view, because everybody else is doing it. So hold on through these times. So there's your market report. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.